Hey YouTube, it's Eric. Let me keep this video pretty quick. I just want to share something with you. I was actually biking to work a few days ago, and I was in St. Catharines, and I was biking by this church, this Anglican church, and I just glanced at the sign up front of the Anglican church, and I'm like, is that a Jesuit IHS right on the front sign? And it was. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you. Like, this is absolute proof that like, really, like, this is just like the amount of Jesuit pastors that are in churches. Like, to me, it just got me thinking that it could just be an enormous number. But this was an Anglican church. I have pictures on my phone, but I'm gonna show you a picture on Google right here. But here's the Saint Barnabas Anglican Church in St. Catherine. You see the IHS right there, right in the center. Yeah, this is an Anglican church. Like, a Catholic geopolitical military seal right on an Anglican church right there. Okay, here's a close up of it that I took on the seal. You see clearly that's the Jesuit IHS right there. And here's this Jesuit pastor. I got his name here, Canon R. Wigington, right there. No doubt that this pastor is a Jesuit. Like, it just got me thinking, like, even in like United churches and like Presbyterian churches, like how many of the pastors are actually Jesuit priests who have been educated at Catholic and Jesuit monasteries. Like, I think it's a massive number. There's a picture of it right there. And like, I just found this, like, I was just biking to work Sunday morning and I came across this church with the IHS right in the center. I didn't get inside the church, but it wouldn't surprise me if they have Jesuit IHSs all over the center as well. Yeah, and here I'm gonna go to, here's the church here. On Google right there. Here's the seal of it. IHS right there. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the chat on my phone. Yeah, I'll go to their website here quickly. But this is just proof that like the ecumenical movement's in full swing. Like, these people are going to this church are not getting the true gospel. Guys, look, it's at 33 Queenston Street. The Jesuits, it's been proven, wrote the 33 degrees of Scottish Rite Masonry. The motto for the 32nd degree, Ad Margium El Gloriam, is the motto of the Jesuit order. So I don't think that's a coincidence that this church that has a Jesuit logo is funny. It's located at 33 Queenston Street. Hold up here. Pull up my phone here. Anglican is Anglican been like historically Catholic? Yeah, honestly, like, there is no Protestant. There is no like Reformation anymore. They've all been infiltrated by ecumenism. They've all been infiltrated. Even like right here, like in this diocese of Niagara, like I'll show you here. Like, there's actually one right by my house. There's two Knights of Columbuses right by me. Like, look, there's one here in Thorold, Knights of Columbus Council, and then there's one right in downtown St. Catharines. Yeah, the ecumenism is in full swing, and these guys control the government. And guys, notice like the seal on the Knights of Columbus, the fasci, is the same seal that is in the U.S. House of Representatives. Okay. Actually, I was just reading a book here. Where is it? Vatican's Holocaust. And guys, you know what the ecumenism movement is hiding? It's hiding this. Here, look at here's some photos from the the Holocaust archives. There's Archbishop Stepniak right here at an official Croatian ceremony, all doing the Nazi salute. Here's a bunch of Catholic stormtrooper soldiers here at a concentration camp here with all these massacred Serbs. This is what the ecumenism movement's really trying to hide, guys, right here. There's like what the Catholics would do in Croatia is that they would force convert the Serbs, and if they didn't convert, they would slaughter them. Yeah, there's a picture of a forced conversion going on. This is what the ecumenism is trying to hide. They're trying to hide the real history of the papacy and just be like, oh, let's just hold hands and let's just sing together in the sun and just everyone unite together. Let's just forget about the past. That's what it's all about. Okay. Here's Archbishop Stepniak reading with Ante Pavelic on the anniversary of creating the independent state of Croatia. Here's a picture of the entrance to Jasenovac concentration camp. Well, probably one of the nastiest concentration, probably the nastiest concentration camp during the whole World War II. Okay. Yeah, wait, was it created by Henry VIII when he had his was that Henry VIII's feud with the Pope, like when he wanted to uh remarry and the Pope didn't want him, like didn't allow him? Okay. That's when Anglican was created. Okay, that makes sense. Like I was just shocked though to see like an IHS on like a non-openly open Catholic church. Look at this, guys. This is what ecumenism is hiding. Look what the Catholics did to these children in a concentration camp. Look at that. Okay. This is in the camp of Jasanovic. There are 8,000 children that were massacred by the hand of these Catholics. Okay. Look at this. Here are the children in the Starda Gradita concentration camp dying of slow starvation. The government of the satellite state of Croatia ordered the Kazakh soda to be added to their food in order to eliminate them. In Jasenovic and other camps, the Ustashi broke the jaws of the victims and removed the gold crowns and took away the medallions and took the hidden gold of their rich prisoners. The gold ended up in the palace of Archbishop Stepniak and was later shipped to Rome. Would you look at that? This is what they're hiding. Here's the gold watches that were stolen from the prisoners in the concentration camp that was then sent back to Rome via Archbishop Stepniak. You see here, Ante Pavlich had a habit, guys, of plucking the eyes out of the prisoners in the concentration camp. Right here. Look at that picture. There's no eyes. Right there, you see, Ante Pavlich had a hobby for collecting human eyes. One day, and guys, this book, you guys should check out this book, The Vatican Holocaust, Avril Manhattan. And actually, yeah, truth prize. I've read like R.W. Thompson in his book, Footprints of the Jesuits and the Papacy and the Civil Power said Henry VIII's feud with the Catholic Church wasn't a real feud with the Catholic Church. Like he was still as despotic and tyrannical as the Catholic Church. Like it was a really like shallow, super shallow feud that Henry had with the Catholic Church. Ate Pavlich had a hobby of collecting human eyes. Look at that. One visitor came to his headquarters and noticed that a bowl of oysters on the table. Like this is disgusting, guys. This is what ecumenism is hiding right here. Okay. Here's the Eustachi carrying a decapitated head of a Serbian Orthodox priest. Okay, check out this book here. And actually, there's the Knights of Columbus. Here, or there was a connection. Yeah, Knights of Columbus were mentioned in this book. And actually, yeah, there's a Knights of Columbus fraternity right across my house. Like right, like there's two in St. Catharines where this Anglican church is with the IHS logo on it. Dude, Pope Pius XII during the massacring was at the like while all the slaughter was going on, Croatia was not idle. He held talks with prominent military leaders of the the quote right allies, upon whom first Archbishop Stepniak and then uh, Cardinal Vincenti had counted so much. British and above all American generals came and went in endless procession and to and from His Holiness. To give one typical example, on one single day in June 1949, Pius XII, Archbishop Pacelli, previously, received 5 USA generals in successive audiences, all Roman Catholic generals, by the way. General Mark Clark, wartime commander of the U.S. Fifth Army in Italy, and subsequently commander of the Korean War, Lieutenant General J. Cannon, commanding general of the U.S. Air Force in Europe, and Major General Robert Douglas, Chief of Staff of the U.S. Armed Forces in Europe, and lastly, Major General Maxwell Taylor, and actually he was Deputy Commander of the European Command, and actually this is lastly here, General Jeffrey Keyes, Commanding General of the U.S. Forces in Austria. All these went to see not the self-styled papal Prince of Peace when they went to talk with the Pope like them a man of war. So you have the top 5 ranking U.S. generals during World War II are all Roman Catholics and are having private meetings with the Pope. Okay, this is what the ecumenism is all trying to hide. Okay. With the Vatican as a busy center of war design activities, it was inevitable that some of its dignitaries in various countries should become its political reflections or spokesmen. Archbishops and cardinals consequently spoke and acted on the assumption of war and hence the use of atomic bombs. The Vatican, within an astonishingly brief period, had developed the most intimate relations with certain malign forces within the USA, and was not merely indulging in wishful thinking when it passed on such information to its emissaries abroad. It informed them of what was going on behind the scenes in certain quarters. This was a most no, this was a most sinister and credible reality was demonstrated to a stunned world on the following year on August 27, 1950, when Mr. Francis Matthews, during a speech in Boston, called upon the United States to become the first aggressor for peace. End quote. In plain years, to launch a third world conflict, that is, to initiate an atomic war, Mr. Francis Matthews was neither a crank or an irresponsible citizen. He was a powerful man in the American government, none other than he was the Secretary of the American Navy. But Mr. Matthews was also something which, with this juncture, was perhaps even more anonymous. He was a fanatical Catholic, honored many times for services to the Catholic welfare work. More than that, Mr. Matthews had been the head of the most villainous Catholic organization in the USA, that is the Knights of Columbus. Okay, so you have the head of the Knights of Columbus during World War II, Francis Williams, calling for the United States to be the first aggressors for peace. Think the ecumenism movement will ever tell you that? Okay, yeah, the Knights of like John Boehner's a Knight of Columbus. John Boehner, Jesuit trained at Xavier. He was standing right behind Jesuit Pope Francis when he was giving his speech in the U.S. in 2015. Jed Bush is a fourth degree Knight of Columbus. That's another one I know just on the top of my head. Like even like athletes, like Babe Ruth was a Knight of Columbus. The Cinderella Man boxer, I forget his name, uh, who was played by Russell Crowe in the movie The Cinderella Man. I think James Braddock, he was a Knight of Columbus. They're literally all over the place. Like so, I just want to show you that there that the Knights of Columbus have had many connections. And guys, I'm just going to show you more stuff that this is what the ecumenism movement is really trying to hide right here. Okay, it's the massacres of the Holocaust that happened. Here's some uh, a group of Ustashi with Archbishop of Sarajevo, Dr. Saric, doing a Hail Hitler at with a group of Nazi officers at the airport there in 1943. Okay. There's another case of throat cutting which took place in Croatia in 1943. This photograph was found in the pocket of a dead Ustashi. One of his companions is holding up the already severed head of a victim right there. I'm going to go to chapter. Was the most, I think, disgusting here. Um, you see, this guys, this is really like this history is just history, guys. But this is what they're trying to hide. Here's a corpse of dead children who are starved to death in Jasenovac. There, guys. Croatia was a complete Catholic dictatorship. Okay, absolute Catholic slave state. Okay, I'm just gonna show you some documentation of this. The promotion of such large treacherous body, that being Eustachi, within the country would have been impossible without the active cooperation of the Catholic Church. Pavlich's terrorist bands, the Eustachi, had been morally and financially encouraged and supported by her indeed. Indeed, their backbone had been informed by priests, monks, and even bishops. Yeah. So I'm just telling you guys, like, read this full book here by Avro Manhattan. But I'm telling you, this is the history that the ecumenism movement is trying to hide. And I just found this church on my biking to work right here. Oh, where is the picture? Um, yeah, here, St. Barnabas Anglican Church, located at 33 Queenston Street, and it had the Jesuit IHS right on the center. It just got me thinking, like, how many pastors are actually Jesuit trained? Like, how many of them? Yeah, enormous amount. Okay, even the guys like it goes deep. Like O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson had two lawyers, Johnny Chapario and Johnny Cochran. Both of them had Jesuit degrees at Loyola Marymount. Okay, so you have the Jesuits are creating the O.J. Simpson psyop, and then that ultimately brings Kim Kardashian into brings that her to the masses, and Kim Kardashian is just another one of many Jesuit strategies to keep the masses distracted and to get them to forget about the history of the Catholicism and the Inquisition, and essentially the Catholic Church's imperialistic worldview. That's what they want to keep you in the dark of. Again here, like it's right here on the logo, guys. The Anglican Catholic Church here, IHS. Yeah. Actually, Billy Graham's another great. Yeah, Billy Graham's like I haven't done a ton of research into Billy Graham. I know like oh there was a book that came out. Uh, I can't remember the name of the book. I know I was watching a video and someone brought up there was a book that was published on Billy Graham, and Billy Graham it's like he's just a classic. He's a classic example of an ecumenical Protestant. And again, I know he's documented in the book as a Freemason. I think of the Scottish Rite too, which was created by papacy. Yeah, Billy Graham was evil. Absolutely, he was a servant of the Pope. Absolutely, he led astray millions, and yeah, he had like his Protestant movement and many other false, like Joel Osteen's another example. Like they're getting people to have their guards completely off, and they're taking them completely out of reality with their pseudo scriptural doctrine that's inspired by Rome. Hey, what's up, Blue Bud? What are you saying? Yes, actually, there's one more quote here I just want to read on the context with the ecumenical movement. Again, yeah, this is a church that, and again, guys, this is I was just casually biking to work one day, and I found this church. Like, actually, I'll show you the pictures one more time here on my phone, so you know I'm not making this shit up. Yeah, and actually, guys, just wherever you are, just be aware, like, be on the. I'm just like seeing this as it just kind of made me more on the lookout for this type of stuff. But here's the picture here. St. Barnabas Anglican Church at 33 Queenston. You see the IHS. Yeah, and yeah, pastors like Billy Graham and Joel Osteen have like spearheaded this ecumenism. And actually, well, like it was declared at the Vatican II Council, and there was Pope John Paul the 23rd, who was like a Marxist, and he was the one who signed ecumenism into law. But here's the church right here, IHS, right in the center. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna read you one more quote. Okay, this is from Avro Manhattan's the Vatican Washington Moscow Alliance. Okay, where was the ecumenism? Okay, here. It is a considered question worthy of careful consider. It is a considered question worthy of a carefully considered answer. Unprejudiced, unprejudiced, concrete, and precise, for notwithstanding arguments and protests to the contrary, the Catholic Church is not just another American denomination, a mistaken idea most U.S. Protestants have accepted since the advent of ecumenism. Actually, I'm going to zoom in here. The Roman Church is still as peculiarly unique to herself as ever. Today, the Marx, and again, guys, I did a video on this. Karl Marx was educated by Jesuits for 5 years. Okay, and Karl Marx published a pamphlet, even I think in the New York Times in 1856, called "The Jewish Question," and it was an anti-Semitic pamphlet that sounded like any classic Jesuit anti-Semitic propaganda pamphlet that you'd read in the Observo Romano or the Civica Catholica. Okay, Karl Marx also said in that article that behind every pope stands a Jesuit, and that the army of Jesuits suppress every free thought that comes into an existence. Okay, so Karl Marx was a complete Jesuit tool. Again, educated by Jesuits for 5 years. And do you see here, today the Marxist-oriented encyclicals of the Supreme Pontiffs can inspire millions of American Catholics, even if reluctantly, to accept subtly subversive tenets that are the anathema to traditional and cherished American polity. And guys, in this Anglican church that I walked into, that I saw, okay, biking to work, that's what they're doing. They're preaching Marxism that is disguised as Christianity, but it's Catholicism. It's Catholic Marxism. Okay, and that's what ecumenism is. It's Marxism, Catholicism, Marxism, which is the one world government. It's a one world Catholic society. You see, add to that the radical forces, both secular and Protestant leftist, at present working towards the same political ends, and it will be seen that capitalist America is in actual danger of real disintegration. In the days to come, a serious dilemma will confront loyal and patriotic American Catholics, at least those who are sufficiently educated and aware of the covert political attacks being made upon their country's government. And right now, guys, the head of the Federal Reserve in the United States, Jerome Powell, Jesuit trained at Georgetown. You have Donald Trump, president, who's Jesuit trained at Fordham. You have the head of Homeland Security, Kristen Nielsen, Jesuit educated at Georgetown. You have the head of the budget, Mick Mulvaney, Jesuit trained at Georgetown. You have the head of the Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao, has an honorary degree from Georgetown. You have the head of the Secretary of the Defense and Wellness Committee, Robert Wilkie, Jesuit degree from Georgetown. You have the United States Trade Representative, Robert Lighthizer, Jesuit degree from Georgetown, and it goes on and on. The Catholics have a 6-9 majority on the Supreme Court. Okay, like it goes on and on and on, guys. You're saying like this has come true. Okay, this Jesuit ecumenism agenda is all about the Catholic takeover of all society. It's all even like your late night talk show host. Stephen Colbert is a devout Roman Catholic. You can see a picture of Stephen Colbert with Archbishop Dolan, like the Archbishop of New York. Jimmy Kimmel is a devout Roman Catholic. He actually wanted to be a priest when he was younger. Jimmy Fallon's same like Jimmy Kimmel, devout Roman Catholic, wanted to be a Jesuit priest when he was younger. Jay Leno, Roman Catholic. Like they're all Catholics. Conan O'Brien, Roman Catholic. Yeah, yeah, right. The head of the New York Stock Exchange, Chris Farley, Roman Catholic. Okay, like it's all over the place, guys. Okay, you see here. So he says educated Roman Catholics will have to will will again, guys. The majority of Catholics have been so brainwashed, right? I don't think they'll ever be able to see the light while they're still in the church. But some educated Roman Catholics will become aware of the covert political attacks being made upon their country's government and institutions under the guise of religion. And again, guys, it was a Roman Catholic professor at Georgetown, Veet Din, also on the board of directors of News Corp and Lockheed Martin, who signed the Patriot Act. Okay, and actually, Avro Manhattan has a quote. Let me find that here. I think this is in the Vatican Billions. Avro Manhattan wrote in the Vatican Billions that Lockheed Martin is owned by the Jesuit order. Okay, there was it right here. Here's here, according to the famous English historian Avro Manhattan, quote, the Lockheed Martin Corporation is owned and controlled by the Jesuit order of the so-called Holy Roman Catholic Church. Okay. Next, you see here, Lockheed Martin in 2002 gave 50. Guys, this is like this is the reason why the Iraq War happened too. It was a holy war as well. George Bush called it a crusade, but it was also for the American Catholic corporations to get rich behind the scenes. In 2002, the year that Homeland Security was created, also by the way, and it was created by the head of the White House transition team that created Homeland Security, John Gannon, was a Jesuit trained at Holy Cross, and now he's a professor at Jesuit Georgetown. Okay. You see here, Jesuit Santa Clara University announced that Lockheed Martin Corporation has given 50,000 to the university to support annual scholarships for engineering students. Yeah. Can't make this shit up, guys. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so like so I think Aaron Manhattan I think was correct when he made that assessment. Okay. You see, your Catholics will have to re-examine their allegiance to the hierarchy of the church, which have been aligned with a subversive ideology, that being communism. This cannot be otherwise because in the future teaching of their church will no longer be inspired by a single gospel, but by a hybrid one, consisting of the gospel of Jesus Christ grafted to the gospel of Karl Marx, who in Karl Marx was trained by Jesuits for 5 years. The outcome hangs in doubt. Many American Catholics, if given the hard choice between the new Catholic Church, so alien to the church of their upbringing, and the allegiance of their country and the ideals it represents, might well rebel against Rome just as Archbishop Lefebvre and his followers have done. A too progressive Vatican forcing the issues too fast and too soon could thus participate a schism in the American Church as deep, if not deeper, than the political split between the country's North and South in 1860. Vatican is well aware of this danger and is promoting a policy of exceptional gradualism. And guys, the Fabian Society actually, that's what their motto is all about. Is about like gradual implementation of communism. I wrote an article on it, but page 17 of the book, Fabian Freeway: The High Road to Socialism in the USA. George Bernard Shaw is quoted saying that he wanted the Fabian Society to be the Jesuits of socialism. Okay, and again, the Fabian Society, their logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay, like a biblical reference there to the book of Matthew. Okay, and the Fabian Society, who's trying to implement this gradual communist state, who they inspire to be the Jesuits. Okay, but again, named after a Roman emperor. Okay, the Fabian Society has influenced the likes of Bertrand Russell, um, Zbigniew Brzezinski, all of them connected to the Jesuits and all of these globalist um, scientific dictatorship thinkers. Yeah. And the global scientific dictatorship is right in harmony with ecumenism. Yeah. You see, the United States, surrounded by Marxist continents and by Marxist nations, will soon have to cope not only with a communist dominated world outside its borders, but also with two most expansionist doctrines of the century from within as well, Marxism and Catholicism allied. You guys, Fidel, actually, right here, Fidel, I'm going to prove this to you right here. Another asset of the Vatican, Fidel Castro, the communist dictator of Cuba. And this goes for his son, who's the current president in Cuba as well, Raul Castro. But you see here, Fidel Castro created a communist dictatorship in Cuba. Okay, I'm going to show you where he was educated at. Okay. See right here, guys? Castro was sent to live with this teacher in Santiago before being baptized into the Roman Catholic Church at the age of 8. Being baptized enabled Castro to attend the La Salle boarding school where he was regularly misbehaved. So he was sent to the, look at this, guys, the privately funded Jesuit run Dolores School in Santiago. 1945, Castro transferred to a more prestigious Jesuit-run El Colegio de Belen in Havana. So, guys, how much more proof do you need that the Jesuits are behind like modern communism? Karl Marx was educated by Jesuits. Joseph Stalin was educated by Jesuits. Fidel Castro was educated by Jesuits. Okay. Joseph Goebbels, like the Nazi propaganda minister, educated by Jesuits. But continuing. So then, guys, Castro attends the prestigious Jesuit-run El Colegio de Belen in Havana. You see, and Castro took an interest in history, geography, and debating at Jesuit Belen. He did not excel academically, instead devoting much of his time to playing sports. And you see here, Castro is a Marxist. Okay, I'm making shit up. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end it here, guys. But that's what this ecumenism agenda is hiding. They're hiding the history of the Inquisitions, the history of the Holocaust and World War II, and ultimately just like they're hiding the arrogance of the Catholic Church and just like the absolute blasphemous doctrine like that is the syllabus of errors of 1864 and so many more of their encyclicals that are being enforced in America and all over the world through the papist governments that are controlling the civil powers of those countries. Okay, but I think that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love, and namaste. And actually, just before I go, just be on the lookout for like symbols. Like, there's churches all like every city in the world like has a church. Every, I should say, every cities are corporations. Churches are corporations as well. But churches are all over, guys. So when you're looking at your church, like pay attention to see if like there's a IHS, a subtle IHS symbol or symbols of like a Catholic martyr or anything like that, because it's all over the place. Ecumenism is in full swing, guys. One world religion is coming down soon, with the Pope at the head. Okay, but that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love. Namaste.